All right, so we are going to be doing the iron sulfur lab. This is a super fun lab. It's slightly smelly, but it's a good time. And so this fits in perfectly with what we're talking about with learning about elements, mixtures, and compounds. This lab really ties all those terms together. So we have sulfur and iron are two elements. What we're going to do is we're going to take observations of these separately as elements. Then we're going to mix them together and take more observations. We are then going to take that mixture of iron and sulfur, heat it up, and take observations of the result. Okay? So here throughout, we're going to be really honing our observation skills. So what type of observations will we be taking? We will be taking qualitative observations. What does qualitative mean? I can't remember. That was like first couple weeks of school. Qualitative, qualities, we are going to take observations of what we see, okay? What we hear, what we smell, not what we taste, not what we feel. But we're going to be taking observations that do not involve numbers. So that would be color, magnetism, texture, solubility. How does it react with an acid? How does it react with the solvent? These are some of the properties we are going to be looking at in this lab, okay, when we do these different tests. So the whole point of this lab is to collect information about iron and sulfur. Can you see that? And sulfur, when they're elements, when they're a mixture together, and when after we heat it. We want to see what happens to these properties and compare the properties at these three different stages, these three different forms. So this is a great lab. It's lots of fun. But along with labs, we have to make sure we know the proper safety procedures. So we are going to have our hair tied back because we are going to be using a Bunsen burner when we heat it. If we have scarves or ties, scarves we could take off, ties need to be tucked in so they don't get caught on fire with the Bunsen burner. Goggles, we are going to make sure we have our goggles so that if anything breaks or splashes, we are safe. We are going to be doing a lab, so as always we'll need closed-toed shoes. Luckily, it's starting to get cold. Well, not luckily, but it's starting to get cold, so you probably won't be wearing closed-toed shoes. We will be using this test tube to heat on the Bunsen burner. Important, when you are heating the test tube, you want to hold it away from your face. Right? You don't want to be like this, looking in there, away from your partner's face, away from anyone who is around you. You don't want it pointing at them. You want it pointing away towards the window or towards a space where there is no one. And that's because whatever comes off of the chemicals that are in the test tube, you don't want to be breathing in or splashing on you. Even though we have goggles, we want to be safe. We will be smelling things in this lab. When we smell, we waft. We bring the smell to our nose. We want to bring the smell to us. We don't want to go like this, because when we do that, that could cause damage to the lining of our nose or to our lungs. Checking my notes, and that is all that we need to know for the lab coming up.